Yeah. You know we're gonna go for another one in the sun. A quickie today because I gotta be back. Did 4 hours, more than 4 hours yesterday, last night, Tuesday, today's Wednesday, and the day before Monday. So now we're gonna go a little bit on that zigzag, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. Working out, train, exercising has been in my medicine temperatures. It's a bit windy, but said it's about 1 degree, so we're gonna go in the sun a little bit towards my Publik, the sun, on the fast speed. A little bit on the speedy side, not running, but a little bit on that meditative side. You know, grateful, thankful, rent, spade, electricity bill, spade, and got food and coffee. I'm gonna just drop some of that garbage a little bit here. Still a bit of garbage dropping right here. So there we go. I drop some garbage and we're gonna rock and roll. Grateful, thankful, rent, spade, electricity bill, spade. Still got mountains of snow. It is a bit on the warmish, kind of cool, warmish side. You know, it's supposed to be -1, more than -7, -10 today. But it's on the plus side when I left, so grateful, thankful, rent, spade, electricity bill, spade, got food and coffee, and auctioning everything that I'm wearing now. Auctioning the pants, $1 million, gonna give 50% half to my anonymous friend, and the Pope, my King, is shining. After a few days of great days and record-breaking storms, snowstorms that is, and we still got a lot of snow here and there, although the roads have been cleared, and that's it, that's all with that. So that's what we're gonna do, and that's what we're gonna get doing on that zigzag. So it's always on the meditative side, all the ways on the meditative side. So we gotta get it on the go. So we gotta get it on the go when we go, and we gotta get it on the XYZ, and we gotta get it on the lovers, and for the butchers, for the bakers, for the doctors, for the grocery store clerks, for all those involved in the production, distribution of food. Truckers on the road, LOVE, somebody hopefully making some good loving. Otherwise, what are we fighting to save civilization for if somebody not gonna make that LOVE? Auctioning this red glove for $1 million. The pants, the underwear. Grateful, thankful, my rent paid, electricity bill paid, got food and coffee, and financially stressed, but that's what it is with that. That's what it is. Sometimes you just gotta be grateful, and I live a pretty simple, austere, severe lifestyle. Very physically active though, very physically fit, but nonetheless, you know, with financial stress and with Asperger's, of course, being HFA, high functioning autistic, it has been a tougher road on the go, you know, to manage the employment, continuity of long-term employment. Well, I had many jobs and I'm always open for business, and especially during COVID. And of course, I'm celebrating 5 years. 5 years since I survived COVID, so wow, that's a celebratory mark for me. You know, last 5 years ago, 2020, between February 7th and March 2024. March 24, between February 7, 2020 and March 24, 2020. So 5 years ago, I was very sick. I had COVID, and I got triple vax, but I always say I died during COVID, you know. In a way I did die, you know. I'm nothing that I want to go back to, but it was very hardcore. I was like full of death, pestilence, and disease. Like death, pestilence, and disease, like death, pestilence, and disease, you know. Sounds like a death, pestilence, and disease, like a hardcore trash metal song, but that's really how I felt, you know. I really felt sick, and it was right at the beginning when there was no mention of COVID, but right after I got it on the news when I was healing, after I had it, was the lockdowns began. So I had it really at the beginning of the onset, right when it commenced, the whole COVID-19 health crisis, the pandemic. So gotta salute my King, the Sun, the Pope. So with some of that good rock and roll, the sun shining although colder. Hey, get me some of those, shake those shoulders. For the left and right and in the center, for the butchers and the bakers, the electricians and the plumbers, and those chopping some of that bacon. Gotta turn my head left and right before you cross the street, you know. Something which we gotta do, and always gotta be that grateful, thankful, you know. Auctioning everything that I'm wearing. Yours truly, gonna check. Thank you for the donations. Wow, what do I need? I'm not gonna take all, but hey, because the rice I have, so this is thank you so much rice product of the USA. The tariffs are not in yet. So much rice. This is Colorado's rice. I'm just gonna take this from my friend. So that's really something. This, my friend likes these, so I'm gonna take this for my friend. And well, for yours truly, I take these for yours truly here. So although the best before date passed, but I'm gonna take these two, you know. Let's see the best before. November. November, so there's rice there if you guys want. So look at that, there's rice again. So that's what we gotta do, you know, so gotta get it for the LOV, you know, so celebrating on that side marking and gonna put it in the stacking here of the paper, and that's what we gotta be doing. And I see couples over there, so I'm always happy, you know, when I see couples. Always happy when I see a little bit of the couples. What is this? Oh, I'm gonna take this for my friend as well. So that's it for yours truly. Gonna bag it up and gotta get it on the go. Gotta get it on the go and gotta get it for the go. So that's what it is. And XYZ and XYZ. So that's what it is for XYZ. And we gotta do it on the LOD. So that's what we're gonna switch. So we're gonna get it. Oh, look at that beautiful cactus. Look at that beautiful cactus. Look at that beautiful cactus. That is a beautiful cactus there. That's what we're gonna do. So that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that. So that's what it is with that. So we're gonna get it on the go. So it is something which we gotta do. So that's what it is for the XYZ, for the XYZ, and that's what it is for XYZ. That's what it is. That's what it is with that. That's how we gotta get doing with that. So that's what it is. So that's what it is with that. So that's what it is. So that's a nice cactus right there. So that's what I wanted to show. So that's what we're gonna go do. So that's what we're gonna go do. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is with that, so that's what it is. So yours truly. Grateful, thankful for so many good things, you know. So many good things, you know, so that's what it is. And super grateful, you know, for those things. You gotta be grateful, you know, gotta salute those who donated it. Gotta salute those who donated and made the donations, and that's what it is with that. So those who saluted making those donations, you know, super important, super important. Food security starts with the bakers, the butchers, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and always getting on the do. So that is now towards the sun. Happy, really content. Yeah, took for my anonymous friend, and yours truly took for my anonymous friend, and yours truly. So that's all we gotta get doing with that. So it's something which we gotta be on the mark. And salute, thank you for the rice. Rice I have. Some of the products were best before date. It was kind of expired actually, but nonetheless it's still good. Well, best before date and expired date is not the same. It is yours to discern, you know. So that's what it is with that. So being that is on the discernment side, so it is something which we gotta be on the appellation, and that's something which we gotta be on the doing, you know. So thank you for that donation. That's in the backpack. Gotta wear that red. Auctioning for $1 million, auctioning it for $1 million. So that's all we gotta be meditating about, you know. All that food supply. So that's what we gotta get it on the do. So we gotta get it on the now. So we gotta get it, you know. So it's something we gotta be on the transmission side, on the XYZ side. So gotta get that gratitude, you know. Super important to get that gratitude. Grateful, thankful, rent paid, electricity bills paid. got food and coffee. That's what you gotta get doing, with that. Oh yeah. Thanks again to those who donated, not just for me, but for others as well, That's the community fridge, so it's always, you gotta be grateful, I don't like ingrates, So ingrates, it's good to have a little bit of gratitude with it, so that's what it is with that, so yeah. Rock and roll, actually everything that I'm wearing here, the backpack, and that's what we gotta be doing, Be a little bit more charitable, myself financially stressed, and I love the fact that it was 5 big bags made in the USA. I'm not boycotting yet, although it's a Dragon versus Trump edition, and we gotta be mindful that we gotta unite across the borders, and my PPP best, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, my PPP best, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom for the North American Civilisation Collective. That's what we gotta keep in mind, that together coast to coast, ocean to ocean, for security, service and defense best, and my dream, of course, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership, fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership. That's what it is with that, so that's what we gotta get doing with that. It's something which we gotta be on the love, so love for the Son, my Pope the King, love for the Son, my Pope the King, love. Bury me with Papa Crowley up in New Jersey. Bury me with Papa Crowley up in New Jersey. Bury me with Papa Crowley up in New Jersey, so we gotta looking for the left and for the right, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. So that's what we gotta get doing with XYZ, and that's what we gotta get turning the heads, Because you never know, what if the brakes malfunction? What if the citizen driver presses the accelerator? These are all points in fact where we can, of course, turn, and turn the head left and right, and that's what it is with that, that's what it is. So if the brakes malfunction, you got added risk. If the citizen driver gets a sun flare and presses, of course, the brakes instead of doesn't press the brakes and presses the accelerator instead of the brake, well, you got another problem. So always turn your heads left and right, 3 times, my citizen recommendation. And once again, thank you for the donation, and I took for myself and for somebody else, and it's perfect because I wanted something sweet, so I got a little bit of oats, so I'm gonna put some hot water, put some blueberries in it, and for my anonymous friend, although the blueberries are not that fresh, they're still edible, with some yogurt. So I'm gonna make my own dessert, so that's what it is. And I'm just gonna go put a little bit of trash there, and gotta salute the train conductors, the butchers, the bakers, the truckers, the public workers with the bus drivers there, That's why I gotta get it on the bus drivers there, so that's why they gotta get it on the dude. Always meditating, geopolitics is my special interest as an aspect, as neurodivergence is something which I gotta be mindful of, and that civilization is a privilege, which was my thesis back, of course, in 2023. Gotta be watching, be prudent when you cross the street, and gonna throw some garbage here. Anyways, and now we're gonna project towards the sun. Gotta be careful when you cross the street. Here, always turn the head left and right, and that's all we gotta be doing. And crossing the street prudently, always double check. Here's actually, pedestrian, but it's not always that respective, even if it's a pedestrian. Some people respect it more than others, You gotta be aware of that. So now as I'm going a little bit on that march in the sun, just gonna go a little bit in the sun and come back, and go a little shorty. So I have a little bit of an appointment, a little bit of work, and always grateful, thankful, rent's paid and electricity bills paid, and that's all we gotta do, We gotta be cheering on the Hydro-Quebec workers, the butchers, the truckers, the nurses, the doctors, those flipping some hamburgers, cheeseburgers, those flipping some hamburgers, some cheeseburgers, those flipping some hamburgers, some cheeseburgers, those flipping some hamburgers, some cheeseburgers, That's all we gotta be doing with that. That's all we gotta be meditating about all this collective, North American collective, marking 5 years, or celebrating 5 years since I got COVID. Thought I was gonna die during COVID. Having died during COVID, being reborn. Nothing that I want to go back to. Is just carpe diem it every day, carpe diem it every day. So that's how I gotta acknowledge, you know, a civilization is a privilege. Having electricity, running water, hot water, whatever the case may be, that is what it is with that. That's what it is, what it is, and we gotta be implementing my Trinity of theories, the CIT, citizen integration theory, DRT, the refusion theory best, at least at this point, where we have arrived now, with the civilizational complexities, with the civilizational points, in fact, where we are now, you know, the civilizational collective, and we gotta be on that transmission, and here we are for the XYZ, for the turning left and right, and let's go. See it if you can. Turn the heads. Sometimes it comes from there, sometimes it comes from the other side. So here there's still a little bit of quite a lot of icy patches of snow. So that's what we gotta be doing with that. Icy patches of snow here and there. So we gotta be on that sidelines, and still snow removal operation. Probably gonna say it's gonna be Monday that is gonna do. So that's what it's gonna be, a long one, because look, we still got mountains, little mountains, bigger mountains of that snow here and there, and accumulation. So I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit of that, because I want to get as much sun as I can, you know. So willing to see, oh, there's some sun over there, so let's see if we can get it by that side and go a little bit on the trajectory and go a little bit of up and down. I'm not gonna be sure that I'm gonna go all the way to the bridge, you know. Sometimes I go to the bridge, and sometimes I go by where the sunlight is, you know. Super important. Get a little bit of sun, get a little bit of exercise, get a little bit of X, and get a little bit of Y, and you know, with consent, hygiene, hug like you never hugged before is the main message. With consent, hygiene, hug like you never hugged before. With consent, hygiene, hug like you never hugged before, you know. That's the main message. With consent, hygiene, hug like you never hugged before. That's the main message, you know. That's what you gotta do. And somebody gotta sing some rock and roll for the boys and girls in blue. Ain't nobody perfect, that includes that, me and you. Watching on the streets and the trajectory. That's what we gotta get doing, and we gotta get on that mobility, and we gotta get on that X, and then be sure, you know, it's people who get it on the go. So that's what it is with that. So that's what it is, you know. So it's happening, you know. So yeah. So look at this snow. Wow, there's a mountain though. We're gonna get it on the mountain. So if you can get it on the mountain, see how the mountain is diminishing though. It was a big mountain, now it's smaller, but it looks like it's still can play on it, because it was hot yesterday, and gotta get it on the XYZ, and gotta get it on the do. So that's where we're gonna go. So you can play a little bit in it and play a little bit there. And that's what it is for that, you know. So that's what it is for XYZ, you know. So that's what it is, you know. We gotta get it on the go, get it on the go. So get it for now, man. I kind of like the beauty of it, you know. I don't mind snow, I don't mind cold, I don't mind winter. It's just that it is with that, So that's how we gotta get meditations, you know, and all the proceedings, that all the labor which was done, of course, to get removed all the snow. So I gotta give some LOV, some rock and roll, you know, to those who labored in it, So that's what we gotta go doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with that. So it's something which we gotta be mindful that we had a snowstorm which was a record breaker in 71 years. It wasn't like that. So gotta keep that in mind, you know, as we go. And you know, always grateful, thankful. Rent paid, electricity bills paid, got food, got coffee. How about some rock and roll? Gotta sing it for the swinging, gotta sing it for the snow. You know I rock and roll on 24. Rock and roll it every day. Rock and roll it for the sleigh, rock and roll it every day. Rock and roll it for the sleigh, for the up and down, you gonna see it. We gonna believe it. For the X and Y and Z, for the left and for the right. You know what I said. I wanna see some of that sunshine, some of that sunshine, sunlight. We gotta give it for the sight, though. Gotta give it for the sunlight. I'm approaching it. I can feel it. I can kind of see it, but I just wanna feel the sunlight. You know, that's just when I wanna see the sunlight somewhere there. I'm gonna be patient here, I guess, to see some sunlight. I can see it a little bit, but I just want to feel it more than see it, you know, because I see it from afar off, and that's what it is with that. And here you gotta also be prudent, you know, when you cross the street, just wait until it's the signal. And sometimes, you know, my vision gotta be checked, you know, I gotta check my vision. So sometimes I gotta check my vision, you know. I got an appointment for optometrist. I got plenty of scars, survived COVID, celebrating 5 years. 5 years since I survived COVID, you know. Nothing that I want to go back to, you know. Living for today, carpe diem it every day. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that. So that's what it is with that. And marking, celebrating, you know, 5 years. 5 years since I survived COVID. That is what it is. 5 years. Wow. Between March 7th, between February 7th and March 24th. So during that span of time, so 5 years ago, around this time, I had COVID. 5 years ago. When it began in 2020. So 5 years ago, wow, eh? I wouldn't say 5 years, but I don't know, maybe for some it feels like 5 years, but I guess the time question of every second, you know. Wall Street gives some charity, please. NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Please reduce the ticket costs by 44.9%, 44.9% is my estimated cost for the tickets to be reduced to meet the current prices. Most of the prices have increased, and the current public financial situation, both Canada and the US, is kind of on the same parallel. And gotta watch it here when you cross the street, you know, if the police are going to intervene with ambulance, whatever the case may be, they gotta be on the mindful to get it on the go and get it on the left and on the right. And you know, they're human as well, so they also maybe got children, and I don't know about their bills. I don't know how many police officers are stressed as I am financially, but you know, with Asperger's it has been more difficult, I guess. But you know, we got to integrate my CIT integration best for the security and service best protocols, for the security service best protocols, for the security service best protocols. That's what we got to do. So that's what we got to be integrated now, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. My Dragon Army Public-Private Partnership Initiative. Dragon Army Public-Private Partnership Initiative best. Dragon Army Public-Private Partnership Initiative best, based on my philosophies and analysis and theorizing, of course, my being a geopolitical theoretical honest and theorist, again, who has not only survived COVID 5 years ago, but also who before COVID in October, November, had predicted in a general manner what's happening, transpiring now across the world, being the international conflagration which has arisen during COVID in the past 5 years in Russia, Ukraine, war, the Middle East, and throughout the world. Basically, I predicted that there's going to be more conflicts on the horizon, a World War III, basically. So I could say that for more than 5 years, since October, November, I've been in a World War III mode. I've been in a World War III mode, you know. Kind of been in a World War III mode myself ever since November 2019, and consequently, and I got proof of that work. Consequently, you know, I predicted an international conflagration. Consequently, I predicted an international conflagration. So, consequently, I predicted an international conflagration, and consequently, having predicted that international conflagration, I created a workout training program system, efficient, simple, and effective, which requires no equipment, of which I've performed more than 372 of that same workout training program system myself. Have done myself more than 372, and that's why, you know, I said always my name changed, and A, Dragon became Dragon. Just turned that A into an O with blood, sweat, and tears, and thousands of blood, sweat, and tears, and that's what it is with that. So here we are. I got a thing for colors like that, and I just love the color, you know, bright colors. That's nice colors there. Pink and orange and red. Red is my favorite color, but I just love bright colors, you know. I don't mind black and white combo, but I like black and white on red. There's a trinity of colors anyways. So being when I have Asperger's, I'm always in a mode or other modes involved in my holy trinity of special interest, also known as obsessive interest. You know, people like myself with Asperger's, we have what's called special interest, also known as obsessive interest, and we can be super intense, super focused, super in it, especially when I march, because it's part of my fitness, and I love fitness and staying active, and sports. Dancing is my favorite sport, and I created a workout training program consequently to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario, to go hand in hand with the World War III scenario. So that's what it is with that, that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the go. So it's something which we gotta be implementing, you know. Gotta check it on the go and check it on the do. So it's something which you see that now, what's happening now, my theory is best, you know, for the international collective, and for a World War III scenario, because we gotta focus on making a great North American census, Canada-US census, or Canada-US census, Canada-US census, Canada-US census. We need to find out, you know, everybody who's been living here for, let's say, since February 2020, since COVID, or 2017. 2017 is the year I crossed Canada in July, August 2017. That's when I crossed Canada coast to coast, and of course that's when I crossed Canada coast to coast. And that event made me come out of being depressed, made me come out of being suicidal. I was depressed, I was suicidal, you know, so that's when I was stopping my depression. That event made me come out of being depressed, come out of being suicidal, and I started working out, training, and before that date, I was depressed, suicidal, and that event changed my whole life. That's why I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians in 2017. Our family, Quebecers, Canadians, my consider family, my brothers and sisters in the USA also, because I'm not only a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist and philosopher, artist, androgynous pansexual, but also a philosopher and a mystic. I have flashes of reincarnation. Sometimes I was born a man, a woman, and sometimes I was born a man, a woman. Sometimes I was born a man as a woman, depending on whatever the case may be. But you know, whatever across the areas, whatever the case may be, across the different areas. So that's what we gotta do with that. So we gotta be on the meditation side, you know. So it's something which we gotta do, you know. So something gotta do with that. So something which we gotta be mindful of. I guess gotta see what's on special, and gotta see what's on special with that, and that's what it is with that. So we gotta get doing, you know. So we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get on the XYZ, and we gotta be on the remission, you know. So check it on the side now. Gotta cross the street here. You gotta get that pedestrian side. So yeah, you gotta get that priority here, you know. You gotta get that priority here, you know. So we gotta get it on the side, you know. Gotta get some of that trash, man. Get some of that trash. Some of that trash there, you know. Gotta get some of that trash out, you know. Super important to get on the trash, you know. Lots of trash bags. And gotta put it for the trash. There we go. One more here. One more trash bag. Let's see how much trash we're carrying. I guess just enough. Gotta get rid of all the trash, and gonna see if I get a little bit of sun. With that, and that's how I gotta get it. So the sun. I thought I was gonna get some sun there. Seems like I'm not getting sun. You have to continue. I guess I have to continue, you know. So here we get on that priority side. Here we get on the priority side, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing. So something which we gotta be interjecting, you know. So oh yeah, I guess we won't get some sun because it's already cloudy. So we're gonna just turn on the other side and go back and go a little bit of that meditation. But tomorrow morning, maybe catching on the morning, leave early. Tomorrow we're gonna try to get it for the sunrise. Maybe try to get it for the sunrise, and then do it for before the sunrise, getting on the go, and getting for the sunset, sunrise, you know. There's always a sunset and a sunrise everywhere. Every second in the world, right? There's always a sunrise and a sunset. every second in the world. There's always a sunset and a sunrise, you know, so it's always XYZ. And you gotta get it for the LOV, you know, so you gotta get it for the now. Oh yeah, getting a little bit. I don't need much, you know, I don't need much sun. Just a little bit of sun, I guess I need for that, so that's what it is. If I get it, maybe if I take a route and turn and then come back, but I don't want to go all the way to the bridge, you know. If I go all the way to the bridge, gotta get it for the meditation side and gotta get it for the now, you know, so that's what it is, you know, so it's something which I gotta get it on the go and gotta get it on the now, so something which we gotta be always mindful, you know, civilization being a privilege and myself loving a little bit of sun, myself being a little bit of that sun, you know, so we gotta get it under death. That's all I gotta do, see? And I turn the street here. I'm getting on the go, so gotta turn the left and right and see if I can catch it on the sides. I know where I'm gonna catch it. And then I have to go back because I'm gonna be late otherwise, and then I'm gonna catch it because otherwise I'm gonna be late otherwise, you know, so something which we gotta be. My Publik, the sun now shines, and every second there's a sunrise and a sunset. I'm a bit excited. I got some rock and roll, I got some great geopolitics, you know. Today, just this morning, I spent hours and hours and hours just doing geopolitical analysis, just doing geopolitics, 24/7 geopolitics, and that's what I've been doing with that. You know, I've been doing a lot of geopolitical analysis, geopolitical meditations, and always 24/7. That is with yours truly, you know, Aspies. We are concentrated, involved, and we spend a lot of time involved in those activities or research or studying, learning about those special interests. And my holy trinity is geopolitics, 24/7 geopolitics, the study, the analysis of geopolitics, the study, the analysis of geopolitics, the study, the analysis of geopolitics, study, the analysis of geopolitics. That's what it is with that. So that's what it is. And studying, analyzing geopolitics, you know, that's what it is with that. So, and of course, rock and roll and sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport activity. Dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity. Dancing. Gotta turn my head left and right, and gonna get some of that sunlight or what? Certainly will to get a little bit of sunlight, you know. I have the will to it. I'm craving it. craving it, you know. It's like one of my drugs, coffee, sunlight, wafers. Other drugs I don't do. Although cannabis is legal here, and I have some. Maybe I'll do a little bit over the weekend. Today is the 26th of February. Financially stressed, open for business, but grateful, thankful. I got a washer, dryer. I got some food at home, and that was just donated for yours truly just now. So got some of that donations, and people made a little bit of that donation, and hey, that was a nice rice. Some of them were past before date, even 2023, but even sometimes best before date is good for more than a year, or even 2-3 years, depending on what. And just the other day, I had coffee, which was best before February 2016, so it's over 9 years. And amazingly enough, it's still, of course, it's sealed, individually wrapped, but it was still good. The coffee was still good. I couldn't believe it. So I said, that type of coffee, we got to stack it in those 44 tunnels. Calling for the construction building of 44 tunnels, in case of a thermonuclear war, you know. In case of a thermonuclear war, you wonder why the motive of China built more than 20%. They increased their nuclear warheads by more than 20%, 20 to 25%. They augmented their warheads by 20-25%. So I guess this is the sunset we're gonna see, and this is the sunlight we're gonna meditate on getting. If not, we're gonna go get some tomorrow. So back to what I was saying, of course you wonder how come that is the case, that it has increased, you know, by that by more than 20 to 25%. It's something which we got to be mindful of, and because how come they increased? They are nuclear warheads, so there's a possibility for a nuclear war, not specifically China or between the Taiwan, China, because they're having unresolved conflict, but other wars in the world. So now I'm going to discuss the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the DRT debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the DRT debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, for the creation of the universal exchange, because the DRT theory has to be implemented. So I'm going to discuss the DRT theory, go up and going to take the next street. Yes, came in here in Montreal West. So the DRT debt refusion theory is my theory, which of course proponents and has of course the solution for where we are now, with the public and the private financing, with the public and the private financing, with the public and the private financial matters, all the public and the private financial matters, because we now paid last year 2024 46.5 billion in interest. A billion has 9 zeros. So I always discuss the DRT theory. It comes out of me being cursed, suffer, struggle, live with scars, with retrograde amnesia, memory loss, and remember moving from a moldy place, having COVID, survived COVID, and depressed, suicidal. Here I am marching in the sun. I guess the youth, the children are there happy playing. I'm happy now. I'm even a double dose of happy when I see the youth playing happily and safely. Their joy is my joy. So I can turn back, go do some work at home. So I got an appointment for some work, and here it is, this new arena being built and financed here. So I used to do a lot of volunteering in the past more than 7 years in the old arena. So I see they already got something going, and maybe they got a little bit of arena opening there. So here it is. Now we're gonna go back to my headquarters. They're happy, but it's starting to look good. The arena starts to look a bit good, and you got mountains of snow there, although I don't see that well, blurred a bit, but I'm gonna check my vision. Maybe I'm gonna need to, I don't know, maybe not. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. Of course, the point in hand is my DRT theory. The debt refusion theory is the only solution for something very similar to my DRT theory. What is the motive for me for saying that, making that statement, is of course the fact, and due to the fact that last year we paid 46.5 billion in interest. Last year we paid 46.5 billion in interest. Last year we paid 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. That was the amount only of interest paid on the public debt. That was the amount of interest which was paid on the public debt. That was a staggering amount of interest which was paid on the public debt. Just on the public debt, right? So just the service, just the interest, only the interest. So not the principal, just the interest. So that's, you have to keep in mind. We're not discussing the principal, we're discussing the interest only, right? So you have to distinguish in the financial matters. So in 2021, the number was 20.3. It's kind of cool. I can see for the Dragon Army 300 trucks like that. Red though. Anyway, so we paid in 2021, we paid 20.3 billion. That 20.3 billion double would have been 40.6 billion. So the fact that it more than double, right? If you do the calculations, 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6. 20.3 times 2, that is 40.6. 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6. 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6 billion. That would have been double, but it went to 46.5 billion. Yes, due to COVID. There had to be programs implemented in order to salvage the population, which was dealing with the crisis and the lockdowns and the unemployment and the financial matters, commercial matters, economic matters, which of course could have made a lot of people not be able to survive, So yes, special programs, financial programs to sustain the population during the health crisis and the pandemic known as COVID-19, which I had. I'm celebrating 5 years of my surviving it now, between February and March, so I'm going to be celebrating until March. So that's the motive, mostly, not only, but that's one of the primary motives why the interest on the public debt has doubled. The interest. We're just discussing the interest, right? So it went from 20.3 to 46.5, right? So it's more than double. Just to make an evaluation in the parallel manner, as an individual citizen, of course, an individual citizen whose interest, credit cards. I don't have credit cards myself. I don't have credit cards, but I do have a credit loan. I have a bank credit line, and I have 11% interest which I pay. I got $10,000 in debt, so I am $10,000 in debt myself. I am $10,000 in debt. So, but I don't have credit cards. But let's say citizen X. XYZ, citizen X, XYZ, me, you, somebody else, in 2020, 2021, the amount of interest paid would have been 20.3. Oh, correction, would have been $156. Would have been $156. Would have been $156. So if the interest goes from 156 in 3 years, from 156 to $156, it goes to 333. Let's say from $156, it goes from 333. Let's say from $156. It goes from $333. That's more than double. But also, the salary has to also double for it to be sustainable, you know. The salary has to double for it to be sustainable. The salaries have to also double for to be sustainable. The salary has to also double. That's just the financial mathematical principle, right? Because how many salaries have doubled? in between 2020 and 2025, the average increase in the salary was 4.4%. Between 2020 and 2025, the average salary increase was 4.4%. Between 2020 and 2025, the average salary increase was 4.4%. So between 2020 and 2025, in 5 years, the average salary has increased 4.4%. So somewhere 3%, 2%, 1.56, 5%, 7%, 8%, 9%, 10%, whatever the case may be. So I gotta watch it here, across the street. I got a stop sign. Gotta watch and make sure that it presses the stop, because you never know if there's a stop sign, you have to stop, but sometimes the accelerator, is pressed instead of the brakes, or the brakes malfunction. So if the brakes malfunction, the brakes can malfunction sometimes, so it's possible, I'm always really careful because it's in the public, so we got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations. So that is what it is with that. That is what it is with that. So that's what we got to get doing. And back to the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange. So we paid 46.5 billion. So imagine if that's more than double. Is the same financial equation for the mathematical principium. The mathematical principium is that your salary or income has to double as well. For your interest payments, if they double, for it to be sustainable. So if citizen X, let's say, because this is the same mathematical financial principle apply, if one's interest payments more than double in 3 years, let's say somebody's from 2020, 2021, it went from 156 to 333 to 333. That means that's the equivalent to be that, of course, it more than doubled. And then the salaries have to double. The salaries have to double, right? But many salary, no salary. Do you know of any salary that doubled? I don't know. You let me know. But the majority, of course, there has been labor movements and labor strikes, and there have been some concession for the laborers. And let's get that North American Collective Workers Party. 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 So that's what it is with that. So that's what we gotta get doing on the know-how, because we gotta get in on on the DRT, we have to implement my theory or something similar. My theory or something similar, very similar, is the only solution. You can argue all you want, but just the numbers, mathematical, financial numbers. The interest payments only have more than doubled. You realize the GDP of Canada has not doubled. The same with a citizen, let's say me, you, or somebody else. If the interest goes from 156, red, from 156 to 333, just the interest, then if the salary only increases 5%, 10%, 15%, let's say, even then, you have to cut the spending, cut the Netflix, cut the cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes, but whatever. Cut the going out to the restaurant, cut the movies, reduce the internet, reduce the spending, reduce whatever the case may be. So you're going to have to reduce a lot of the spending, A reduction, you can't spend the same. You're going to have to reduce the spending. You're going to have to reduce the spending, whatever case may be, for the spending, So that's just how you have to do it, the reduction of the spending, So that is just the mathematical financial principium, the principle of financial mathematics. So it's the same with the interest on the public debt of Canada. The same principle applies with the private in terms of the interest, right? Because the GDP of Canada has not doubled. Sometimes it went even negative. And some people even lost a lot of layoffs, right? Myself, I've had a few employments, but me, it's mostly because of Asperger's. It's people misunderstand it, misread it, and there's a lot of problematics with people who are Asperger's. It's a problem, and of the dynamics of the interactions, which we have, so it's just because we're less able socially and we don't really understand social norms, dynamics, and interactions can be more difficult. I'm myself less able, not so good, an average, and so with some things which are of this more social nature or other things. But I am great at geopolitics, and the DRT has to be implemented again. There's no other way around this. There's no other way. Because the GDP of Canada, the economy of Canada has not doubled, while the interest has doubled. So you realize, right? Just that fact. So what are we going to cut in the public sphere? What are we going to cut? The police, the RCMP, the prisons, those who pick up the sanitation, the compost, the garbage. There has to be a reduction, It's just not sustainable. Paying the interest. And it keeps on increasing. So here lies the problem. I don't want to be too alarmist, but tomorrow, Thursday, the 27th, tomorrow, the 27th, there's a possibility that even today started, if not tomorrow and the day is coming, tomorrow, Thursday or Friday or next Monday, there's a possibility on the horizon, not to be overly alarmist, but there's a possibility for a black swan event. A black swan event is the worst financial case, but it's possible now that we can see a public financial collapse of Canada. 3 weeks ago there was in the news that thousands of Immigration Canada employments, jobs are being laid off in the coming months, years. I have a feeling this is related to what I just said. So keep that in mind. Again, the interest have not doubled. The interest have doubled. Correction. The interest payments have doubled. The salaries have not. Right? The economy of Canada, the GDP even went negative in November. It increased only 1.56%, 2%, 1%. The increase is something like that, Something like that. So that's why we gotta be situating on the line, Okay. Just gonna try to catch the train, Catch the train, man. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Anyways, so we're gonna go. Just want to hydrate a bit. So we're gonna get the hydration, and that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that, and that's where we're gonna go. You know, so. That's what it is with that. You know, so. Hey, they're holding hands. That give me hope. You know, those two there after school who are holding hands, and that's. You know, that should be a motive to be, you know, like being armed and carrying a weapon for security forces, for also not just for Wall Street, you know. That gave me hope. Somebody holding hands, kissing, I guess, and, you know. For me, you know, if you're black, white, or rainbow, you gotta, I played rainbow loving, but I'm gonna ask for the cards, you know. You gotta show me that you're 18 plus, you wanna come at LOV with yours truly, friends with benefits only, you know, gonna card your butts, card your butts, card your butts. Just like in a club, you know. In a club with an ID, you know. It's like with a club with an ID. Gonna card, and that's how we're gonna go, you know, card it up. And this is like for drinking, buying booze, or whatever the case may be. See how my mind now works. I'm seeing the train, and my brain automatically switches to geopolitics, because I know the train is going east, but I also know that it's open for potential sabotage and espionage. Open for potential sabotage and espionage. I also know it's open for potential sabotage or espionage, you know. So being that we made enemies, powerful enemies we made, you know. Powerful enemies, you know. We made powerful enemies because we got involved militarily, not just diplomatically or in another manner. We got involved in a certain way which placed us in a vulnerable position to be sabotaged or espionaged or even attacked, you know. Surprise attacks, all that. It's the world has changed, you know. As much as I don't like would have voted Kamala, and I don't know about that 51st state. We have to build, we have to do a census. We have to coast to coast, ports, airports, defense. Ports and airports are the points of entry. Ports and airports, we got to get rid of the border, get a common passport, common currency, and yeah, we got to integrate. So I don't know about that 51st state, but you know, I am for integration, and my DRT theory for both Canada and the United States, because both the public and the private financial matters of both Canada and the United States, both Canada and the United States, both Canada and the United States are similarly, you know. Look at that beautiful tree. Kind of looks a bit odd but beautiful, you know. So that's what we like to see. So anyways, so back to the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit. That's what we gotta get doing on that. So the universal exchange unit, that's what we gotta get doing on the XYZ. So something which we gotta be mindful that is Canada and the US is the same. Canada and the US is the same for both the public and the private, you know. Both the public and the private, you know. Both the public and the private. Both the public and the private is about kind of the same. Private and public debt, you know. Record interest payments, record debt, record interest payments, record debt. So it's kind of in the similar manner, kind of like the same, you know. Both the public and the private debt, it's kind of the same. So that's why we have to do it both at the same time, simultaneous to the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange. That's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with that. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. So I'm going to explain now. My DRT theory also includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. The European Union. So in the European Union. The European Union, man. The European Union. In the European Union. In the European Union. The European Union. They implemented what's called monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory, MIT, not to be confused with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the MIT Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but they implemented that theory called monetary integration theory, and that is the creation, the destruction of their own national central banks. So the Europeans, they destroyed their national central banks. They no longer have national central banks in Europe. They destroyed the Germans, the Italians, French, many countries. They destroyed their national central banks and they annulled their own currencies. They have a ECB. The ECB is a European Central Bank, a multinational central bank for many nations. So it's a central bank for different countries put together, not like we have here, the Bank of Canada. And again, if you want to check how much interest we paid, you can check with my cousin, Tiff Macklin, governor of the Bank of Canada, and of course, Chrystia Freeland. That's what it is with that, Chrystia Freeland. So that's what we gotta be doing, Chrystia Freeland. So that's what we gotta be doing, Chrystia Freeland. Auntie, These numbers, of course, resigned as Minister of Finance. I'm not going to go into that, but nonetheless, you can check the numbers. We paid last year 46.5 billion, only billion. That's a billion has 9 zeros, 1,000 million. So that's 46,000 million. He went from 20.3 billion, which is 20,000, still a lot. But in 3 years, the fact that in 3 years, yes, due to COVID, it more than doubled. So there's no other way but implementing my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, So the creation of the Universal Exchange Unit. The UE. So we're gonna take all the debt, public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt. My $10,000, your $10,000, all the debt, the public and the private debt, all the debt, public and the private debt. My $10,000, your $10,000, whatever the case may be. All the debt, we're gonna take it. All the public and the private debt, including my $10,000, which I have from my credit line to the RBC Royal Bank of Canada. So we're gonna take all the debt, and keep in mind again that my DRT theory, in my debt refusion theory, the DRT is included monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory, which was implemented in the European Union. Because in my DRT, integrates that theory as well. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and preferably implementing my DRT theory, not just Canada. First, Canada has to be, but most of the public and the private financial situation correlates and is the equivalent Canada-US, kind of on the same parallel. We are kind of in the same situation, approximately by population ratios. I'm not going to discuss details, although there are some, but generally, the DRT. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, convert it into US dollars, add it with the US. It could be extended over North American, blah, blah, other countries as well if they want to do it, but have to do it North America, Canada, US joint. All the debt, Canada, US joint, Canadian public-private debt, we're going to convert it into US dollars. All that debt, all the debt, we're going to create it, we're going to put it together, So all the debt, public and the private debt, we're going to convert the public-private debt of Canada into US dollars, added with the US. All that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. All that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. All that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. Is going to be in the trillions. That money, all the public-private debt with the money in circulation, is going to be the initial money supply for the new currency, which we're going to call the UE. U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. The sun sets now and the sun is rising every second. So for a sunset for the current financial system, and a sunrise for the DRT and the UE. U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. U.universal, E.exchange, U.unit. The UE. U.universal, E dot exchange U dot unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. We're gonna create the universal exchange unit. So we're gonna create the universal exchange unit. The universal exchange unit, the UE, the UE, the UE, U dot universal, U dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit is gonna have the value of the US dollar. And we're gonna cap an interest rate after that on all loans. We're gonna set an interest rate on all loans thereafter of 10%. 10%, 10%. So it can be less by principal, but not more than 10% is gonna be the new maximum. It's gonna be the new maximum, it's gonna be the new maximum. The new maximum. 10%, 10%. 10%. That's gonna be the new interest. It could be below 3.33, 7.18, 6.1, 9.3, 4.18, etc., etc., etc. All that money, with all that money, we're gonna be rebuilding the infrastructure, the aqueducts, the potholes, the bridges. We're gonna rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective. We're gonna rebuilding the infrastructure of the North American Collective. We're gonna be mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise. Mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise. Mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise. Mass finance fitness. Mass finance fitness. Mass finance fitness. Mass finance fitness. Mass finance, of course, the building construction of those 44 tunnels. 44, 44, 44. The number after 43 following 45 is 44 tunnels. Inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. Cheyenne Mountain Complex and Montreal Underground Village, square kilometers underground village in Montreal. We have one for the winter. It's a big complex. So 44 tunnels, 44 in case of a thermonuclear war is based on one of my theoretical papers, which I've written about a few years ago. So build those 44 bridges. Build those 44 bridges. So that's what we're gonna do. Construct 44 villages in case of a thermonuclear war for the continuity of the North American civilizational complex. In case of a thermonuclear war for the North American civilizational complex. Construct the aqueducts and implement Operation Northern Scorpio. Create a common passport. Do a census and of course finance the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the cooperative covenant and cooperative institutions, the public-private partnership base, the Dragon Army, the North American Integrated Defense Security Service Force, and the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA for the environment, the North American Integrated Dance League. Dancing is my favorite sport, and that's how we're gonna do with that. A little bit of that slow cook, red. It's my favorite color with that, so that's what it is, and that's what we gotta get on the implementation, so it's something which we gotta do and something which we gotta be on the mindful here, so it's something which we gotta be implementing. And beautiful trees here. Wow, look at the majesty of those trees, meaning that I'm a piece of dust with that. Piece of dust, and just DRT, debt refusion theory, has to be implemented, creating the UE, the universal exchange. There's no other way. You can argue all you want, but that's what it is. And what we are now with the public, much of the public and the private, myself $10,000 in debt, has to be done. The DRT for the creation of the UE, debt refusion theory for the creation of the universal exchange. That's what we got to be doing with that. So we have to do it. DRT, debt refusion theory, we have to do it, and that's what it is with that. That's what it is, and we have to be implementing it. The debt refusion theory. There's no other way. So this is not an arguing point because of where we are. Just presentation to mathematical financial principles. So just like an individual, if the interest doubles, so the more interest you pay, the more you have to reduce. And that's the problem really where it lies. It's not in the debt itself. It's the interest you pay on the debt, If you pay more interest while your salary stagnates, then people get in trouble, Because the loans are not bad itself, the credit. It's just the interest, That's just how it is. The more interest you pay, the more problematic it can get, depending on the income, So, because the debt itself, loans, it's not bad. It's the interest paid on the debt. So that's just how it works mathematically, So that's just the operations, So now we're record levels interest, and that's where the problem lies. Keep in mind, it was 46.5 billion last year. So it only increases now. That's the problem. It cannot be sustained, eh? That's where the paradox lies. It cannot be sustained. So, because the economy has not doubled and increases, it doesn't take a lot of big mathematics brains to figure it out. It's just quite kind of simple. It's just not sustainable. Just not sustainable. So being that it's not sustainable, we have to implement the DRT, because on the horizon there's a black swan potential crash. So the DRT theory best, that refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit, that's just where we are now. So that's just where we are now. That's just where we are now for the doing. So that's where we are. So that's the DRT for you, the UE. Gonna watch it so I don't slide here. And grateful, thankful, rent paid, electricity bill paid, and encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. And gotta be grateful. And through the curse of Asperger's, I present the blessings of the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, for the creation of the universal exchange unit. That's what it is with that, and that's how we're gonna get doing on that. And sometimes we gotta just keep on rolling, and gotta be that great gratitude, grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and got food, got coffee. Gonna go do some rock and roll mathematics, the DRT, debt refusion theory, supported for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit. And let's pledge your allegiance to our family. Support the dream. My dream is fundamentally a call for the North American Union. Pledge your allegiance. Friends with benefits only, friends with benefits only. Pledge your allegiance, friends with benefits only. That's what you gotta be doing. And create the two complementary governing cooperative institutions: Dragon Army, North American Integrated Dance League, Dancing Goddess Army, North American Integrated Dance League for the environment, and the North American Security and Service Force, the North American Security and Service Force. That's what we're gonna be doing. Pledge your allegiance, friends with benefits only. Adrian Hanna Dragon, blessing, bless my name. Give it out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing, otherwise it will be pestilence. 93 for my 93. Nation, bear me up, Papa Crowley up in New Jersey.